Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about 90 Day Fiancé, The Other Way, Season 4, Tell All Part 2. This was a doozy. I didn't know there was going to be 3 parts to this. The last episode that was half an episode and half a tell-all threw me off because there's just so much going on. But I liked it. So this part 2 picks up at the end of the last one where Mahmoud storms off. He's so upset with Gabe. Nicole is sobbing. She's crying. We get back to them. Mahmoud's doing his angry yelling thing. He's cussing up a storm too. And poor Nicole is like, "It's okay, honey. It's okay, my love. It's okay." You know, and she's trying to tell him she can't control what comes out of people's mouths. Now, I don't agree with the way they were attacking how they're going to raise their children, that they've never once talked about they wanted children, how any of that would work. Nicole's 38, so I'm assuming she doesn't want kids. I don't think her relationship's ever been in a state where they felt like they were going to be together long enough. But they haven't brought that up yet, so I don't understand why everyone was attacking them. And I don't understand why Gabe felt the need to so strongly attack Mahmoud. It's not his relationship. Nicole chooses to be there. So they're fighting, and Mahmoud's fired up. He's like, "Okay, let me go back there. I'm talking to this a-hole. I'm going to tell him what I think." Because Nicole's like, "I can't control what other people are saying, my love." And he's like, "Okay, watch this." So he goes out there and he cusses him out a little. And Gabe is just like in his chair, like, I ain't fighting with this guy. Nah, nope, not today. Gabe didn't want part of that. Which I really liked what Sean said about if they were Jewish or Christian, no one would question how they were going to raise their children. So eventually things calmed down a little. Poor Nicole's still hysterical. Mahmoud apologizes to everyone. Gabe is sitting there talking about how his dad and stepmother are Muslim, and that's why he's so strongly affected or triggered by this. I don't know. Gabe seems to have an opinion about everybody. He's Jabri 2.0. Danielle got the sparkles, and Gabe's getting the attitude. Also, I really couldn't stand when Danielle made it about herself. She's like, "This is what it's like to be with Johan." When Johan doesn't scream and run and storm off, Danielle emasculates Johan. The difficult conversations don't happen because she has no give on her side. She doesn't listen to what he says at all. It's why she's comparing this fiasco of what just happened with Nicole and Mahmoud to her and Johan. That really bothered me. So eventually everyone calms down. I did think it was nice that Debbie came and gave her a hug. And poor Nicole just seems like a kind spirit and gentle and afraid of anger. So I felt really bad for her. And then I don't know why they dragged this on, but finally Sean says they're going to move on to somebody else. And I'm like, geez, it's about time. Like, what happened to a commercial break? Like, someone have pity on this poor woman. She can't even breathe. So then we move on to Gabriel and Isabel. They were probably the only couple this whole season that I felt genuine love, and like they weren't toxic or unhealthy. And I mean, it was a little boring at times, but it was refreshing to see. I love the way that they communicate most of the time and how they treat each other. And yeah, so they're talking to Gabe and Isabel about his business because he's trans, so he makes padded underwear for trans men to wear. But come to find out, just any men are buying these, and they're comparing it to padded bras and saying, men want a nicer bulge, so they're hitting Gabe up, which is great. Business is booming. They ask Isabel if Gabe's her boss because she works for him. And he's a very smart man and says, "Oh, she's the boss." I assume since they're married and there wasn't a prenup that they're 50-50. And they always seem like they're that way anyway in their relationship. So the most drama, besides him telling his parents, her parents, about him being trans and just those little things. Well, they're not little things, but they didn't have a lot of problems. Isabel and his friend do not get along. She thinks he's a womanizer, and this guy comes on to talk, and they're talking, and he's saying, if Gabe messes up and cheats on you, that's on him. Women are drawn to him. Actually, he said he pulls a lot of women in Gabe's face. His expressions have been on point. I gotta say, I love a good expression. He's like, finish your sentence. So, what he meant was that women are attracted to Gabe, and that isn't his fault. And this guy's like single. It doesn't matter if he's going on a lot of dates, you know what I mean? That's his life. Isabel's just concerned because, when you're in a relationship and your partner goes out with someone who's single, their main objective is usually to pick up somebody, meet somebody, right? So what's your, partner going to be doing? And also, he said he doesn't get to see Gabe without her around. Maybe she just wants to be included and go with. Some couples like to do things together. It's not a controlling thing. They just have fun. She wants to be a part of it. He moved to Colombia from a whole different country. She wants her best friend. He hasn't been there the whole time. So I could see why she wants to go with. I think that's pretty much all that happened with them. They had a beautiful wedding. She did tell Gabe if he wants to be free, they could both be free. And I was like, dang, you tell him. You got this, Isabel. No one needs to defend you. That's for sure. She's so awesome, though. He's lucky to have found such a great woman. I think they're a good couple. I do feel like Gabe is just into the drama, though. So I'm interested to see some more of that. So then we move to Jen and Rishi. Jen is looking great. She's happy. She's giddy. She's not giving off the vibes of someone who's broken up from their fiancé. When we last saw them, they were both crying. This is the last time we'll see each other. And even in part one, they just seem too happy to be there. So they're catching up with them, and come to find out, Jen went to a friend's wedding in India, a mutual friend that she has with Rishi. And they kind of rekindled there. They were doing this thing all season where she wasn't being intimate with him because no one's going to buy the cow when they get the milk for free. And she wanted to make him work for it. He hadn't told his family that they were engaged for like 2 years at least. So she wanted him to prove it. He never proved it, really. So it turns out they spent a lot of time together after that, after the friend's wedding. And they were intimate. And it was amazing. And the clouds moved. And sun rays came down. And birds were tweeting. And Jen could see in color again. And I think that clouded her judgment. Because, which is exactly what she was worried about. Because all of a sudden they ask her if she's engaged. And she says no. And Rishi says he considers them engaged. And they go from Jen saying no, they're not in a relationship, to her demanding he tells his family they're going to get married and that they're engaged. So good timing on that, because here comes his mother. And these people, the cast, bullied and peer pressured Rishi into telling his mother that they're engaged. And then he doesn't say it right, because they were smart and got the translator. He tells them, they're engaged. He's going to marry her no matter what. So he does tell the mom that. And the mom was like, psh, bet. But also in their segment, they had brought out Jen's friends, who, and I don't know who made this meme on the interweb, but of her and the friends as the Sanderson sisters. It was hilarious. But I never liked the friends. They're catty. I feel like they pick on Jen a lot. So, come to find out, when the friend did the catfish thing on Rishi, which she didn't even catfish him because she used her photo. But anyway, she was the one asking him for show me something special of yours, or something creepy and gross like that. And it's like she's setting him up. And he sent her a stock photo that he sends everybody because he knew it was her friend. He was just thought they were pranking him. So, of course, Danielle used that opportunity to say, oh, Johan would have sent a picture of something else. Like, we know he's the size of your arm, Danielle. Okay? You've told everybody on several seasons. Everybody knows. So the friends, they just kind of irritate me. Jen got really upset and offended when Rishi's mom said that she'd be fine with them getting married if she was a year older, or 6 months to a year older. But Jen's 15 years older, and they want grandbabies, and they want to live in a shared home. In India, it's customary for the son and the wife to live in the family home to take care of the parents. We saw this with Jenny and Sumit. We also saw that in this family structure, it's easier to placate people and tell them what they want to hear. And it blows up in their face. Like, we're getting repeated storylines here with these guys. All they had to do was watch Jenny and Sumit, and they would have known how this was going to go. So Jen gets really upset. She starts yelling at the mother. I couldn't believe she was talking to his mother like that. Like, nobody I'm dating is going to talk to my mama that way. I'll tell you what. But she's basically saying she will not be age shamed. I don't think she was being age shamed. They were asking the mother basically why she's not approving of this relationship, and that's why. At least she's honest, because right before that they were all saying Rishi and his family are nice and smile in people's faces and tell them what they want to hear. and then the truth is something else. So she tells him the truth, and nobody, appreciates that. Jen lost her mind. I suppose, she can't change that part of herself. And I understand that it's not fair. Not every country is like America. And these people take zero time to try to get to know the country they're trying to move to. They don't learn the laws. They don't learn the family structure. They don't even bother to learn basic phrases in the language. So sometimes it's their own fault. Like, you did this to yourself. You should have done some research. And Ricci should have manned up and told her that, listen, my family's going to say no, and I'm going to choose them. But we can at least try. I mean, it didn't matter if they waited till August 4th. Everybody knew it was going to be a no. And they were kind of just living in this fairy tale, hoping that it would work out. So, that didn't. So then they all go to the lunch break. And everyone is pressuring Jen to basically, open her eyes to Ricci's crap. And just the way this cast is, pack mentalitying people is making me uncomfortable. And not only that, it gave Danielle another opportunity to compare it to her and Johan, how she can understand how people think Ricci's attractive, so he must be some, scumbag cheater, because I get that all the time with Johan. I can't even stand to listen to her talk most of the time anymore. I never could. I feel so bad for that man. People talk about scammers on these shows. Danielle scammed Johan, in my opinion, because she told him she would bring him to America and then did the old switcheroo. And then she started just belittling and emasculating and treating him like a child. And she is just horrible. She makes spiritual people look bad. She gives us a bad name. She is so entitled and so selfish and self-centered, and she only sees things her way. I just can't deal with her. We haven't even got to their segment. That's not until next week. I don't know if I... So then we get back from the break, and Sean announces they have a compilation of all the sexy moments from the season. And we all know that TLC gets cringy with these sex scenes. Debbie on The Single Life, I could have lived my whole life without that. Big Ed and Liz in the massage room, no thanks, right? So they're playing this compilation, and this season had none of that. They have Jen telling Ricci they're not going to have any sexual relations. They didn't show Mahmoud and Nicole. They didn't show Chris and Jamie. I don't think they did. They show a little bit of Danielle and Johan, but it's when he is talking to Danielle's ex-boyfriend about his size, his shoe size. And then we get into the conversation Gabe and Isabel had at dinner about his surgery, which opens up to the floor to these people to ask Gabe all these questions about his surgery, how it works, the sizes, how he picked that, everything. We got very in-depth and into detail. So the, intimate compilation scene turned into a Q&A about Gabe's privates, which was fascinating to a point. When they had the dinner, I didn't know any of that info. None of it. And now I do. So I am enlightened. And I did appreciate when he said, whether or not you want to learn from me, you're going to. Because sometimes these things make us uncomfortable, but I think awareness is good to get out there. So it was a little TMI, but, educational, I guess. So then we get to Chris and Jamie. I cannot stand this woman, Chris. She triggers me so bad. She's a liar, a manipulator, probably a narcissist. All the signs are there. At the bare minimum, she's a gaslight pro. She sat here all season. I'm paying her bills. I'm working. That's all I do is work day and night. She has so many catastrophic problems that happen in a row. She tries to make Jamie believe the things she saw and experienced just didn't happen. She doesn't let her talk. She didn't let anyone talk. So she's going on about how she sends Jamie all this money. And Jamie shows proof that she's only sent her $794. And Chris is saying, well, through my bank account one time, but then that bank got closed because I had identity theft issues. She said, Jamie's upset because she stayed for her son, but her kids come first. Nobody, not one person, during this tell-all has said, Chris, you were supposed to move to Colombia full time. You weren't supposed to leave 2 days after your wedding. You were there 2-3 weeks. And then you went home for a bank issue where you couldn't call, you couldn't email, nothing. You know what I mean? So you went home. You were supposed to go home for a couple weeks. You're gone 5 months. You missed her birthday. You paid 1 month of rent. You told this woman to quit her job, that you would financially support her. And all you do is complain about financially supporting her. You have horrible neck issues, but you're doing somersaults in the pool and, working day and night doing landscaping. That does not make sense. She said, Jamie cheated on her, which we all knew about that. They talked about it. She said she cheated on her twice with the same person. The second time, she flipped her car because she was so upset. I don't know this, but I do know Chris says she has narcolepsy. Can people with narcolepsy drive? Should they drive? I don't know. But that's a little iffy to me too. Why are you driving when you can't move your neck, you're in pain, you're sick, you're feeble, every time you turn around there's an issue. You sneeze too hard, you're in a coma. I don't get it. Then later she says, Jamie cheated on her 3 times, and this woman, Debbie, is gonna sit here looking like a boa, calling Jamie a predator. Jamie, this 67-year-old woman who dated a 24-year-old man who really only wanted her for the green card, it was clear. Especially when he said, you will take me to the U.S., that is the plan. From now to the end of time, I will never change it. Never. Debbie can't pick out a predator in a crowd. Jamie's a predator when she admits to what she did wrong. Chris has never said anything she did was wrong. Even when she pushed her at the end of the last episode, right before the tell-all thing, she put her hands on her. She said, when I get mad, I just walk away. And if you follow me, I black out. So that's okay? Because you black out, that's okay? Yes, when people are angry and need space, by all means, give them space. But don't justify putting your hands on someone because you black out when you're angry. How frustrating. And nobody's going to defend Jamie. And these people that live in the other countries never get to defend themselves. They are hearing everything a little bit after it happens, I think, and it has to be translated. And everyone's always on the American side. But Chris is horrible. She's an awful liar. There's no way she's an angel. She has an excuse for everything. She can justify whatever she's done. Jamie will always be the villain. And she's going to sit there and say, oh, if she still needed my help, I'd help her. You haven't even paid your rent. And you guys are married. Hopefully they're divorced, or they didn't legally get married all the way through or something. But poor Jamie was left to pick up the pieces in Colombia, and Chris just took off, left, said, I'm doing everything for you and you're ungrateful, when all Jamie wanted was a real partner. And she'd never called her, she didn't text her, she didn't ask if she was alive. And then, of course, when Jamie gets to talk to her, she's going to be upset. She's going to want to tell her how she's feeling. If you talk to someone more often than once a month, maybe they won't ghost you and cheat on you and get mad. No, Jamie didn't ghost her. Chris ghosted Jamie, actually, which is why Jamie cheated on her. Maybe if you didn't ghost her for a month, because she wants to say it was 5 or 3 days now, but in the beginning of the season, she said it was a month. And she forgets that we watched everything. We watched it all. She said she was moving there forever. But now Jamie's selfish because Chris stayed for her son's, charges to see how that went. She made a million promises she didn't keep. She went to go look at a food truck and realized she couldn't afford it and bailed. And left Jamie, said she's ungrateful, says her mother was sending her money, when 2 episodes before she was telling her mom about all this. Her mom was saying she's like a sugar mama to Jamie. Her mom never said, well, I've been sending all this money. Her mom acted like it was news to her. So, I don't know. I'm excited for part 3. Hopefully I can make it through Danielle. I'm going to have to pause it a few times to get through Danielle. I'm excited to see more of the other couples. I feel like Gabe and Isabel are the only real solid couple on here. I feel bad for Nicole, but she did put herself in the situation. She continues to stay with him. So, this is the life she's going to have to live. Debbie, I couldn't believe when she mocked Rishi's accent. And then later when she called Jamie a predator. So, I don't know. I'm not a Debbie fan at the moment. I feel like that was rude. She doesn't know what she's talking about. And she feels like she's the oldest, so she runs the cast. I don't know. But when she mocked Rishi's accent, I couldn't believe it. Like, anybody that age should know that that's wrong. But I guess not. Who else is there? Gabe, Debbie, Isabel. Oh, Isabel's with Gabe. Danielle, Jen, and Rishi. I think that's it. So, hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, thumbs up, subscribe. I'll be back talking about more of my TLC shows I like. So, thank you. Bye.